Hello and happy Saturday, everybody. Today is March 2nd. It is almost 3:33 p.m. Actually, it would have been cooler if I waited till 3:33. But anyways, today is podcast number 44, day 44. And today we're going to be talking about something that's a little bit more motivating because I feel that we sometimes lose motivation. And since we are 2 months away from the start of 2024, I would argue that since we are a little bit farther from 2024 and we're nearing 2025, believe it or not, there's 10 months left, less than 10 months left, then why not use this opportunity on a beautiful Sunday such as today on the 44th podcast, the 44th day, I haven't missed a single day, for us to stay motivated on our goals. And if we still haven't figured it out, for us to actually figure it out. So what are we talking about today? We're talking about what will they say and how to stay motivated in a sea of doubt. Because unfortunately, we are always affected by other people. We're always affected by what people say, how people react to what we do, how people react to what we say. We are social creatures. Unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you look at it, we are people that get affected by other people. Now, the strength lies is that if you are still able to remain steadfast in spite or despite other people's opinions or despite other people what they may say. So, as you can see here in the slide, it says, what will they say? Staying strong and staying and persevering in a sea of doubt, including your own, and particularly your own. If you always had people cheering you on, such as, like, for instance, if you're doing a marathon and people are cheering you on, if that was life would be a lot easier. But unfortunately, it doesn't work that way because we're very competitive species and we like to compete against each other. And so if everyone's cheering everyone on, then it becomes kind of like non-competitive and it's not really a realistic type of world. So we're going to discuss today a few things because life's challenges are made up in our minds. And without a strong mind, we cannot persevere. And so today we're going to discuss a few things in order to give you a proper perspective so you can have a stronger mind and kind of snap out of maybe the lazy mentality that you currently have. And we're going to be talking about something very exciting, which is this: strength, the whisper, and your challenge. Strength. This is a good one. Now, strength is something that you do or something that you promote in public, right? It's not, there's no such thing as you being strong in private because no one knows about it. You know, there's a quote that says, if a tree falls, but no one's around to hear it, does it make a sound? Well, it's a philosophical question. The answer is obviously yes. Okay. Because it's going to break through all the wind. It's going to break through, the sound of the leaves and the tree and the other trees and whatever. So obviously it's going to produce sound frequency, but if no one's around to hear it, does it actually produce a sound? The answer here is, if no one's around to see you, if no one can actually see your strength, then your strength is irrelevant. So we are always dependent on what other people see. Always. That's life. That's the nature of life. And that's the reason why there's competition, because we're competing with other people and what they see. You can literally close your eyes and you can think of a million things. If it doesn't have other people that are seeing things or comparing, then there's no competition, then there's no strength. There's no such thing as that strength. There's no showcasing of strength. Now, there's another thing that says, there's a very famous, it's actually very comical, very famous thing on TikTok where like the background music kind of thing, it says, how will they know? No one's going to know. How will they know? Well, it's comical because, they play it when someone's doing something, and then in reality, people will know about it. But the thing is, this is actually very true with regards to strength, because strength only happens when you're alone. And how will they know whether or not you're strong is what you show in public. There's a very, very nice quote that I absolutely love about this, and this relates very nicely to strength, is that whatever you eat in private, you will wear in public. And this goes with anything else. Whatever you do in private, you will show in public. How you behave in private, you will show in public. There's no such thing as you doing something completely different in private and you being completely different in public. That doesn't really exist because we are human beings. We're a force of habit. And so if we do things that are lazy, and let's say for instance you're always, not doing anything productive, you're just wasting time, watching Netflix, you're not going to have anything productive to say. You're not going to have anything new to contribute to your friends, to society, or whoever. If you're not constantly reading something new, like if you're not doing something good that is considered productive, you're not going to be able to show that. Do you get me? Okay, so that's how it works with regards to strength. Now, strength, oddly enough, strength only exists in a zone of discomfort. And I'm sure you've heard this a lot with regards to strength and discomfort, and that be comfortable, get comfortable being uncomfortable, and all those lovely quotes. But really, I want you to think about this, that if you are in a comfortable position, if you are in a comfortable place, it's impossible for you to improve. It's impossible for you to become strong. Literally impossible. So if you think about it from the perspective of muscles, if you want to get muscles, you have to be in a state of discomfort. You have to add more weight. You have to struggle through it. Have you ever seen someone lifting heavy weights? They're not lifting it with a smile. I'll tell you that much. They're grimacing because it's painful. It's a lot of effort. You have to push through. But guess what the result is? You become stronger. Same thing with someone that's trying to tone down, someone that's trying to lose weight, someone's trying to look their best. Well, guess what? They have to run a lot. They have to do a lot of cardio. They have to watch what they eat. That's not very fun. It's uncomfortable. In terms of the career performance, if you see someone that is very good at their job, whether they're good at, for instance, in dentistry, whether they're good at making good smiles, or whether they're good engineers and they can do really good engineering work, whether it's civil engineering, mechanical, or whatever it is, it required a lot of work, a lot of staying up, a lot of studying, a lot of being challenged, a lot of mistakes. It's uncomfortable. And the more uncomfortable, the better you become. Same thing with financial, right? For people that are very financially successful, they have a different type of mentality. They are in a they're in a state of discomfort. Now, if you're to look at those kind of people and say, okay, well, they're in a state of discomfort, but they're rich. Well, it's kind of the same as someone who's incredibly fit, right? In order for them to be fit, they had to be in a state of discomfort. What you see is them being, wearing, very nice clothes and they look very nice. Well, I mean, they had to get to that place for them to show you that now they look really good. Same thing with the finances. In order for you to get to a very good financial situation, you have to go through a ton of uncomfortable things. You can't spend, you have to budget, you have to come up with a lot of different ways to make more money. It's an uncomfortable position. Now, why I'm saying all this is because the first instance of us as a people, as a society, for us to become or to fight that state of criticism is for us to become strong ourselves. And the only way for us to become strong is to embrace being in a zone of discomfort. Coming home from work and still working, that's uncomfortable. But if you're trying to get places, that's something you have to do. You just have to do it. You just have to bite the bullet and do it. The opposite is also true. If you see someone that's weak, someone that's, for instance, is obese, someone who is, their health isn't good, or they don't say very smart things, whatever it is, you have to understand that in private, they're also doing the exact same things, right? So they're not doing anything productive. They're not actually trying things that are new. They're just sitting on the couch, surfing Netflix, eating ice cream, or whatever. They're not doing something extra for you to see something in public. So I'm talking mainly to people that are trying to do things, but doubt is seeping in. So if you are that person and doubt seeping in, you're thinking about what are people thinking, what are people saying, the first thing you have to look is inward and say, hey, look, what I'm doing in private, people see in public. So if what people see in public is not good, I have to re-examine what I'm doing in private. That simple as that. That's the first thing. The second, oh, look at that. I put this slide because I am a dentist. So I thought I'd talk a little bit about dentistry. It's not going to be long, 10 seconds. That's just a joke. What are dental x-rays called? Toothpicks, haha. But this one here, this is what I want to talk about with regards to the teeth, the before and after. Now, this is a lovely before and after, absolutely lovely. But you can see that the bottom teeth, they can kind of show. So I see a lot of people for veneer consults, and they come and tell me, well, can I just do the tops? Of course, you can always do just the top teeth. But if you look at the top teeth and the bottom teeth, there's going to be a mismatch. So unless you want to live with a mismatch, then I suggest that you consider doing top and bottom. Is it going to be more expensive? Absolutely. But are you going to be living with it for the next 10, 15, 20 years? That's also true. So you got to think about the pros and cons. Do you want to live, in a state of, always thinking in terms of your mind, say the top's going to be different than the bottom, and whenever I smile, I have to kind of cover the bottoms, or I can't smile comfortably? Or do you want to do something that is going to be enjoyable, so that every time you smile, no matter what angle people look at, no matter how much you smile, how much you laugh, that people are going to be like, oh, wow, this person has a really nice smile. It's just kind of food for thought there. All right. The whisper. This is a big one. This is what we're talking about with regards to people talking about others, talking about you, having their opinion. Here is I want to call it an epiphany, but fine, let's call it epiphany. Here is an epiphany. People who talk about other people, usually, 9 times out of 10, usually there's something not right in their life. Now, statistically speaking, 1 out of 5 people have mental illnesses. 1 out of 5. So if 1 out of 5 people have mental illnesses, meaning that if you line up 100 people, 20 of those have mental illness. Okay. And I'm taking a very conservative number. So 20 people out of 100, or 1 in 5, have a mental illness. Guess who's going to be criticizing you? It's not going to be the people that are healthy. I'll tell you that much. It's going to be those people that are not very happy with their own life. So they're going to criticize you. And the reason they're going to criticize you is because we are a very competitive species. So since we're a competitive species and they are too lazy, or they feel too inadequate for them to do any action because they believe their inaction doesn't yield any results, then their only self-defense, or their only mechanism for them to stay quote unquote competitive, is to try to put you down. That is it. So that is the whisper. That's the effect of the whisper. One of the examples, and I gave this example in my previous podcast number 43, literally yesterday, was the Google reviews. Okay, I own a business, Benetti Dentistry. Obviously, when people are not very happy with the service, they leave a bad Google review. That's fine. And that's actually good for me, because it allows me to focus on something for me to improve in the business, which is completely okay. I'm completely fine with that, because it allows me to learn and allows me to improve. As a matter of fact, the founder of Virgin, Virgin Mobile, Virgin Airlines, the founder, he actually always looked forward to the poor reviews, because that gave him where things are not going right in his company, and then that immediately took action in order for him to improve it. So I adopt the exact same mentality. I love to read them, because it doesn't make me happy. Obviously it makes me kind of, it icks me, but I read them. I read them with an open mind, say, okay, hey, look, like, we need to really improve these things. And they have drastically improved my business, just these reviews. I'm not talking about that. I am talking about people who feel the need to update their reviews. So now it's no longer about giving feedback about the service that they've received, and how displeased they are with the service. Now it's no longer about that. Now it's about vindication. They are trying to get back at me or the business for some reason. The only logical thing is that there's something not right with their life. There's no other explanation. And they put it publicly, right? So they're literally putting their review publicly. And some people are too cowardice to even put their name. They put initials, so that so people don't figure out who the name is. The most coward thing you could possibly do. But you'll see, if you go into the reviews, you'll see the people who actually re-review or update the review, and there are some. That's not what Google reviews is there for. Google reviews is to let other people know what the business is like. If the business is good, then people put that review up, and then people are like, oh, people are saying good things about this business. I'm going to go and check them out. It makes no sense for people to keep updating their review because they haven't. For instance, if someone hasn't been in my business or in my clinic for over 6 months or 8 months, but feel the need to go ahead and update the review 2 days ago, what does that mean to you? Vindication. That's no longer, that's a mental illness. That's someone who's got something against me. Okay, that or the business. So that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about when people criticize you, when people have this thing, and there are people, and literally they're right there. If you want to see an example of people that are not doing well in their life, check out the 1-star Google reviews, and then look at, okay, if I may challenge you, look at how many people actually like those comments. Because have you ever gone to a Google review and seen a bad Google review and liked it? I mean, if you did, I want to talk to you because I want to find out what the heck's going on in your mind. I've never done it. I don't know anyone that's done it. Because if you leave a bad Google review, personally speaking, I don't leave any bad Google reviews. I know this is a segue. I mean, this is a digression, but still, I don't leave any bad Google reviews. I'll tell you why. Because if it was so terrible, then I'm just going to let them learn by themselves. I'm not going to try to make their business worse. It makes no difference. But the only way that I would possibly leave a bad Google review is if I tried to resolve the issue. Like if I had an issue and I tried to resolve it and they refused to resolve the issue with me, like literally staunchly against me, then if I were compelled to, then I would leave a 1-star review and I would write, an essay about it. Or like I probably won't write an essay. I don't have time for that. But I would then, I'd voice my displeasure. Okay, but they would have to literally tell me, or like they'd have to say to my face, we are not going to solve this problem. We're not interested in it. Go somewhere else. When they do that, then that gives me some drive. It has to be that bad for it's not, oh, they screwed up my appointment, or they called me too much. That's not reason for me to leave a 1-star review. Okay. Nevertheless, I know I digress there. I just wanted to prove the point to you that there's always going to be people that are going to criticize you, always. And some people have it in their hearts for them to keep wanting to come after you. Okay. And that's okay. Because as I'm going to discuss to you, you have 3 different kinds of people that are living their lifestyle. You have the high, the middle, and the low. People who are high achievers, they don't have time to criticize. Like they're in their minds, they think it, but they don't actually have time for it because A, they understand people make mistakes, and 2, they're too busy trying to achieve. They're too busy thinking about their next moves. They don't have time for it. That's why I personally don't like returning things because I don't have time for it. I actually don't. So if I buy something and it's not a significant amount of money, like, it's a piece of clothing or whatever, I don't generally return it because I don't have time for it. So if I don't have time to return something, you think I'm going to have time to actually sit there and criticize somebody and try to make their day worse or whatever it is by leaving them a 1-star? There's no point, right? There's no point. If I really felt that bad towards their business, I would literally try to resolve it with them. Like I would talk with the owner. I would talk with them and say, hey, look, like, are you aware that this is happening? Right. And then see how they react. Usually if I bring up anything, usually they become incredibly they become very aware, and then they try their best to resolve the issue as soon as possible, because obviously like that's someone that really cares about their business. So this is the high level of people, high achievers. And high achievers, there aren't many of them. Okay. So the basically top 10% of society are high achievers by statistics. That's basically what it is. Then you have the middle. The middle 80%. The middle 80%, more than likely, you're not going to get criticisms from those people. Because those people are too busy doing their thing. Family, friends, vacations, spending time with their kids, whatever. But they're too busy. Like they just, they probably just won't come back to your business, or they probably just probably not going to hang out with you anymore. They just don't have time for that. They're not, it's not their thing. They'll just they'll kind of just ignore it and they'll move on. Okay? That's 80% of people. Then you have the bottom 10% of people who are low achievers, people who have too much time on their hands, and people who, some of them, fall in the 1 to 5, okay, that I mentioned earlier. Okay? That's just my hypothesis, because that's the way that it makes sense. It doesn't make sense any other way. The majority of people don't care about what you do. I always mention this quote, and if you've been watching my podcast, you'll know that there's an advice for you never to tell people your problems, because 90% of those people that hear it don't care. And the 10% that hear it are glad that you have those problems. But it's those 10%, right? The ones that are glad that you have those problems. There's a few of those that will literally go out of their way in vindication to somehow get at you, because that's their state. That's where they're at. So the best thing for you to do is two things. One, empathize. Really empathize with them and say, hey, look, like I feel for you. I know you're probably not in a good state. Fine. Let me know if I can help you. Okay, that's like the high road, right? And two is for you to keep going, to be persistent. Because if you don't keep going, if you stop, then whatever they've done, they think they've done the right thing, which is not right, right? They haven't done the right thing. And then you're actually fueling them for them to keep doing that to other people, because they're not going to just stop at you. They're going to go towards other people too, because now you've given them strength and now you've given them validation towards their criticism. So understand the whisper. And the reason why I put this Consumer Choice Awards is because I don't know why. I just decided to put the dental theme today. So this year we won the Consumer Choice Awards for Spinetti Dentistry, and I thought I'd put it there because I'm very proud of that. Okay, so that's that. Wow, 22 minutes. My goodness, I talk too much. Okay, now lastly, this is the last slide. Your challenge. Okay, and I talked a little bit about this yesterday, but I think it's really important. And I think it's really important for me to reiterate and to kind of just remind you, to refresh your memory if you've heard it. If you haven't heard it, it's the first time, great. This is your challenge. Your challenge in being strong and recognizing the whisper, the criticisms that you're going to have around you. Okay, so remain strong. So the first step is for you to remain strong and to do what's necessary in your private time alone, so that when you are in public, you can show your strength. And then to ignore the whispers, because the only people that are going to be criticizing you are those people that have something in their life that they're not pleased with. So they're coming after you to compensate for that. And then the last is for you to take on this challenge, for you to continuously improve, and for you to keep pushing forward. I wrote something today in my X post and the Twitter feed, whatever you want to call it, that app, that you are born alone and you will die alone. In the middle of that is the time for you to shine. So these are the three things on the screen that you're going to see. These are the three things that you should really be paying attention to. How do I move this? Oh, right. Okay. Those three things. Mastering your plan. Okay. And mastering the plan is probably the hardest thing, because we all have goals. We all have wishes. We all want things to be accomplished, but we just don't know how to do it. And then we go to people, we ask them questions. We say, how do we do this? And then they give us their answers according to what they've done in the past. And they give you their advice. But the best way for you to attack this mode is for you to look at it from the perspective of, hey, look, where am I spending my time? How am I spending it? And to literally track it. The second is to perfect the goal. Now, to perfect the goal, you have to review the goal on a daily basis. Review it in the morning and review it at night. If you don't review it on a daily basis in the morning and at night, then you're not serious about the goal. You're going to wake up not knowing what you're doing. And you're going to wake up in the same state that you went when you slept, and probably the same state that you were in a week ago and a month ago. Writing your goals, rewriting them in the morning and at night is the surest way for you to understand what your goal is and for you to stay laser focused. And lastly, is for you not to waste a single second. For you not to waste a single second, you have to understand a purpose. There needs to be a purpose to your life. I'm not talking about your spiritual purpose. I'm talking about your own purpose, what you want to do to contribute to other people's lives. Now, here's something as a reminder, is that a purpose is not one if it doesn't significantly impact other people's lives. If it doesn't involve other people, it's not a purpose. It's a self-improvement. So you can't say, oh, my purpose is for me to get fit. That doesn't make sense. Being fit, being smart, being, good at oration, those are things that are self-improvement things. But purpose always involves other people. So the question is that how are you going to impact other people while you are alive? Because you don't have that much time. Your time is incredibly limited, as I've discussed in one of my other podcasts. So it's really important for you to discover your purpose. And I always say this, I've been saying this now for some podcasts, is that your purpose is tied to how you are physically. If you are not in shape, in good physical condition, then your mind is hardly at a good physical state, a good mental state. And for you to have a good mental state, you have to have a good physical state, because mind-body connection is real. So start off with having a good body, a good foundation. Doesn't mean that you have to be chiseled or you have to be super toned. No, just enough for you to be well, okay? To not carry excess weight, to not be obese. That's not a healthy state, because then you're not thinking clearly. Blood is not even flowing properly to your brain. So when you have a good body foundation and you're healthy, then you can think of your purpose and how you're going to contribute to other people. The healthier you are, the more you can contribute to people, because you'll be effective when you're doing things alone, so you can get stronger mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, and financially. And then you can help other people with your purpose. 27 minutes. My goodness. That was a long one. I did digress a little bit there because there was a little bit of passion there. As you can see, I have a lot of passion. I have a lot of energy. And I'm talking from all my experiences so that you can learn and you can benefit from it. And also from my readings and just generally from life. So I hope you're enjoying this, and I hope you're really learning a lot from this. Now, the last question to you is this: what will you do now? What are you going to do now? Now that you know all this, now that you know how to stay strong, you know the effect of the whisper, and you understand your challenge, what are you going to do? If you have any questions at all, feel free to email me. That's my email there on the screen. Feel free to email me, or you can follow me in my other social media channels where I put some reels. I break up these videos and I put reels in those channels so that you're not taking it all at once. But in any case, if you have any questions at all, feel free to reach out to me. I will help you as much as I can. And as always, stay well and always keep smiling. Have a good Saturday.